Hello, BookTube. It's Sunday and it's time for shelf two of my transport section. That includes planes, trains, automobiles, trains, canals, ships, carriages, you name it. Anything that's mostly to deal like it's the idea is to keep it sort of England, UK. Coastal or for shipping and things like that, but there's a few things like the first book here that's not quite that, but it is early airplanes. It's First Flight: The Untold Story of the Wright Brothers by John Evangelist Walsh. um, it's an older book. um, it's George Allen and Unwin, and it's 1975, first published uh, in Great Britain in 1976. So it was originally in the U.S. It's basically it's a story of how they uh, created the first their first airplanes. So that doesn't quite fit in here because it's not British. It's not a British. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out where to put these. So get them on the floor here, I suppose. Um, and here's another one that doesn't quite fit, but it does and it doesn't. Because I threw in, like I say, taverns and that, but I've also put in coffee houses. They're on streets, so roads. It sort of works that this is a history. It's the Penny Universities, a history of the coffee houses by Antoon Ellis. It's a nice cover. On the back is just plain. It is not a new one. It is Secker and Warburg, 1956. And it is just a um, history of the coffee houses. And it's an interesting little insert in here. It's basically a Royal Academy of Dramatic Art performance by final students, and it's just a little typed up paper. So nice, interesting little ephemera you get with books. Sorry. Let's see here. Now we're on to the roads. The road goes on. C. Scott um Giles. And it's a literary and historical account of the highways, byways, and bridges of Great Britain. The Epworth Press, 1946. It's without a dust jacket, but it's just a general history, but it's well illustrated. Like there's little bits and pieces inset into the text, which I kind of like that. It's a little more, at least for the time, it would have been a lot more typesetting and printing to do. And there's a road map, and it's got like poems, housing on bridges and shops on bridges, and that type of thing. So let's see what we got here. English pleasure carriages. It's by W. Bridges Adams. This, I believe, if I remember right, is a reprint. Adams and Dart. It's an introduction by Jack Simmons. Originally published in 1837. This is 1971 by Adams and Hart. It's a history up to that time and description. Not so much a history, but a description of pleasure carriages. It is sparsely illustrated. If I remember right, I'm trying to find an illustration here. Yeah, there's not many, but there's a few illustrations throughout. And here's Roman roads in the southeast Midlands by the Viators. Uh, Forward by I.D. Marjorie, M.A. It's Golan's. It's still got a jacket. It's Bit of an older one as well, 1964. And the Viators in Session. It's a group. I forget now. Who are they actually? Yeah, it's a group that studies Roman antiquities. Yeah, there's 49 roads that are dealt with in here. And all 850 miles of Roman road are described in this book. And there's photographs and so forth. As I say, it's 1964. Oh, be careful here. This pile doesn't go flying. Another road book. It's basically a biography of a family who built roads, the Macadam Roads, Macadam family and the Turnpike Roads, 1798 to 1861, by W.J. Reeder. And I'm not sure if that's a sun-stained spine or faded spine or not, because it's too uniform, and well, the words are still there, white. So I'm not 100% sure. It's a Heinemann, published in 1980, and it is just a historical biography of J.L. Macadam and his male descendants. Offers an informative and at times dramatic view of the construction of the turnpike roads at the height of the coaching age. He lived from 1756 to 1836. He's best known for a method of building roads which brought the word macadam into language, meaning a hard, smooth surface over which carriages and wagons could travel as fast as horses could be made to draw them. So, yeah, it's just a history and a little bit about the technique as well. Okay, here's another one, Roman roads in Britain. By Thomas Cordington. It's 1919. It's a reprint of the third edition. And originally 1903. So it's the third edition, but it's a reprint of the third edition. And it's kind of interesting. It was part of the library of Sir A.E. Richardson, who was a architect, a Georgian mostly architect, but he had an interest in roads as well. And the bookseller that I got at one time bought the remnants of his library, and apparently there were a lot more road books and other things that were a very big interest to me, but I was too late in getting them. I got the dregs, basically, a few things. This one here is Agricola's Road into Scotland, the Great Roman Road from York to the Tweed, by Jesse Mothersole, with illustrations in color and black and white by the author. It's nicely illustrated. There's nothing special about this one. It's got inset illustrations. There's a few colored ones. And photographs, but yeah, the colored watercolors are quite nice. It is the Bodley Head, and it is published 1927. This must have been like a flyer for it, or is it part of the... This could have been part of the dust jacket, but I've never seen it with a dust jacket, so that could be the front panel of the dust jacket that somebody's they got tattered, and then they pasted it into the front cover. But yeah, so it's just literally exactly what it says. History of Agricola's Road. Oops. Everything's deciding to move around now. Let's see here. Here we go. The Story of the Bridge. F.W. Robbins. And it's literally a story of the bridge. It's got a sort of ornate William Thomas Mellows. Book plate, it's Treasure of Peterborough Cathedral, the Vineyard, Minster Precepts, Peterborough. So it's a nice book plate, and there is obituary for the author. Tell me what paper it's from. The Times. No date though. I don't know what year that is. It's by Cornish Brothers, limited publishers to the University, Birmingham, and there's no date there. Yeah, there's no date on it. But it is just a sort of history of roads, mostly in the UK, but it's well illustrated. It's quite a nice book, actually, like the Bridge Brothers are talking about. Stirling Old Bridge, Bridge of Boulogne, Aberdeen. Probably pronounced that wrong, but yeah, just and that's what I say. There's part of the collection here on bridges. Now here's a part of a collection. There's still a couple that's missing, I think, of these. It's the Ancient Bridges of Wales and Western England. Small book by E. Gervois, written on behalf of the Society of Protection of Ancient Buildings. It's the Architectural Press, 1936, and it's exactly what it states on there. And there's an old postcard in here. It's not posted. But it's of a house. Does it say what? Doesn't say. But there's a postcard in here. And yeah, there's photographs. It's the bridges of Wales. And we've got one for the north of England. Same author, same press, Architecture Press. This is 1931. And beautiful illustrations. These are a bit rough in condition, but they're not bad. Yeah, well, this one is a bit because the spine panel is starting to come away, so I have to be careful with that. And here's a bookmark advertising them and other ones. But that's, yeah, Northern England, and this is Mid and Eastern England, Ancient Bridges. And again, press, the Architecture Press, 1932. And there's a bookseller sticker in here, if I could read it. ER or FR. I can't read it. I can't read it where it is. It's too small. But it's interesting. In old ones, you do get little stickers, usually in the front or the back on. Okay, sorry. I thought my pile was moving, but it's not. So yeah. So there's 3. There's still, I think, 2 for this. It's a whole set, but I'm missing a few. And here's another set that I really like, and I'd love to get more of these, by Charles G. Harper. They're just like they're on roads in England here. This is the Dover Road, and it's all sort of a history of the Dover Road, annals of an ancient turnpike, illustrated by the author in old prints and portraits. It's Cecil Palmer, publisher. 1922 originally, 1895. There's several of these. I've got red variants of it, and it goes through a little history of the roads, what in literature and journals, and it's saying, like, I think one section here was Chaucer's Pilgrims. Chaucer's Pilgrims, and it's just it's a whole series of books. I've got 3. This is the Brighton Road. I like the sort of embossed cover with the black ink. This is 1922 as well, originally published in 1892, second edition. This is third and revised edition. The second edition was 1906. Again, it's Cecil Palmer, and it's just the classic highway to the south, and illustrated the same way. And it's just a overview with poetry, with literature, with tales of the road. People, if there was any sort of brigands along the road, or highwaymen, it'll be talked about in these. And here's another one: the Manchester and Glasgow Road, Manchester to Glasgow. Charles G. Harper again. And this one was owned by A. Richardson as well. Excuse me, that's probably the first one that I originally got. And that's Cecil Palmer as well. And this is 1924, second and revised edition, originally 1890 or 1907. And I think probably I've started collecting the hardest finding sort of editions with the red binding for some reason. And here's another one, Story of the Roads, by Cyril Hughes Hartman. And it is a review copy, or with compliments of B.T. Batsford, even though it's George Routledge and Sons. It was from London. It says here, "We think you may be interested to see the Story of the Roads. We are sending with it a copy of the new edition just out of Maskell's Inns." I do have Maskell's Inns, but I don't know if it's actually part of this collection. I'm assuming this is probably part of A.E. Richardson as well, but that doesn't say. But yeah, it's just a history of the roads, illustrated. This was published in 1927. I'll wait for time, not too bad. This is really neat. I'd like to actually get more by these authors, because they've written some very interesting stuff. It's part of the English local government series. It's The Story of the King's Highway by Sidney and Beatrice Webb. And this is Longmans, Green and Company, 1913. And they were a leftist, socialist couple who wrote a lot on interesting subjects, and a lot regarding workers and socialism, which would be nice. I'd like to get more of these by them. This is, let's say, 1913, and it's just a history of the road making. It's got the sort of the statutes and stuff, the things that sort of were put into place to build roads, how they were funded, and that type of thing, and who worked on them. It's fabulous. But yeah, it's they did see, like here, the English poor law policy, English local government, the parish and the county. It's a whole series of books that would be fabulous to get. Grants in Aid, a criticism proposal by Sidney Webb. These are other books, works by Sidney and Beatrice Webb. So, but I've only got one. I've never. I know that they're available to order online, but again, it's the kind of thing like only if I'm reading the subject at the time and I want something supplementary, that I go and look for other stuff. And it just, otherwise I don't get it, or wait till I see it. And here's another one, Story of the Road. As I said, there's quite a few road ones, and again, it's was owned by A.E. Richardson, the architect, who actually had a house, a Georgian house that he decked out in Georgian period. Didn't have electricity in it, I believe, in Ampthill here. The house, I believe, was given to the um, English Heritage. This is Story of the Road from beginning down to AD 1931 by J.W. Gregory, Alexander Mackelhaus, 1931. It's a second impression, 1931. Looks like there was a first published in October, and it must have been a good seller, 'cause by December 1931 there was the second one. And it is literally as what it says, A History of the Roads. It's quite nice. It's a nice paper on it too. I don't know if it's any special paper. It doesn't say, but it's got a texture to it. I quite like that one. I like the design of it. Here we go. Well, here's a book by himself, A.E. Richardson. It's The Old Inns of England. He wrote this book. And some of this Rhodes books, the collection he had, went into the like the bibliography and the study of this book. It's a Batsford. This is a third or fourth printing, I think. Third edition, revised. I've never been able to find a one with a dust jacket. This is originally 1934 and third edition April 38. And in 1935, December, there was a second edition. And it's exactly what it is. It's Inns of England, and it's a fabulous book. But I really would love to get one with the dust jacket. But that's all I've been able to actually find up to this point. Here's a great one. It's rough shape, but it's even worse. That's me that accidentally got something that was wet on it that raised that. So really hate when that happens. But it's a rough book. Oh, it actually went all the way through. Wow. Something leaked, I can't remember now, that was sitting on top of it. It's Carriages and Coaches, Their History and Their Evolution by Ralph Strauss, fully illustrated from the reproductions from old prints, contemporary drawings, and photographs. Published by Martin Secker at the Adelphi in London. And, I forget what year it is. I did find out at one point. I can't remember now. I love that in the back there's added in a little catalog of their autumn books. And there's some fabulous illustrations in here. There's even steam carriages that are, if I can find one. I can't seem to find it now, but it's a fabulous book. As I say, well illustrated, with prints and so forth. It is something I'd love to get a better copy of someday. And this was a review copy. I forget now what year this is. I'm just trying to find here. Yeah, it's this presentation copy for review that's stamped. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. That might be not so bad. But yeah, it's a fabulous book on that. No, here's a great book on the old London Bridge by Gordon Home. Hey, like he's not the best scholar in the world, but he's a good writer. I really like his stuff, and this is a fabulous book. And it is, but he's written stuff like on Roman London, medieval London of our grandfather. I'd love to get all his London books in anything he wrote. Beautiful frontispiece. This is John Lane and the body head. And this is 1931, and it is just a history of the Old London Bridge, and you got fold outs. You got all. It's well illustrated. It's not a huge. It's only like it's less than 400 pages, but it is quite thick. But it's a fabulous book. I really like that one. Oh, here's another one of those Shire books that I mentioned last time. This is Turnpike Roads, and they're just fun little introduction of the given subject. Very short, 30 pages, 40 pages at maximum, I think, and it just gives a little outline of the subject. And I think there's hundreds of them. I don't know if they're still going. Um, I know people that had collected them in the past. Here we go. Here's another one that's not quite sort of British, but it's interesting. It's Wagon, Chariot, and Carriage: Symbols and Status of the History of Transport, and it's got some archaeological material in here. It's got some European as well, and Middle Eastern, I believe. There's like uh, chariots and so forth. This is a Thames and Hudson 1992 book, so it's a bit newer than most of these, and it's a very ornate carriages. Um, these are some of them are miniatures actually. So yeah, it's an interesting book. And getting near to the end, these were a couple that were sitting on top. Yeah, uh, this is one of the few that are kind of on trackways of that turned into roads, but walking. And this is uh, it's, it's not your eyesight. This is blurred. It's printed offset. There's two different colors. I don't know why. It's offset printing. Uh, this is by Jeffrey N. Wright, uh, Guild Publishing, 1985. Nothing spectacular. It just talks about trackways. It's got maps, which is kind of nice, and well illustrated. It's the kind of thing that's really nice to just leaf through as well and see the maps and so forth. And here's the last one here. Yeah, this was like, I think, almost next to nothing special about it. It's Taverns in Town. It's a nice illustrated book by Alan Ralston, written by Michael Ralston, a Balfour Traveller's Rest publication. It's published 1973, and it's just a beautiful book. It just goes through, tells the sort of brief story of some inns, in various places. Is it? I can't remember now if it's still London. Yeah, it's London's most popular and picturesque taverns. And there's, as I say, there's drawings, there's watercolors, and they're all basically contemporary watercolors, and they are quite nice. So, and yeah, that's it for the second shelf, and that's not too bad. 30 minutes. And I'll get to the third shelf on Wednesday, probably. Yeah, Wednesday. And then we'll just move on from there. And it'll take me a few weeks to do it because I'm in no rush to do these. I'm sort of mentally doing a sorting of these as well, because at some point you can't see it up way up. There's the top shelf at the ceiling that actually has my African stuff on, which I haven't been able to access it easily for a while. Those are going to come down, and a lot of the sort of train stuff and the canal stuff is going to go up there, and I'll probably keep most of the road books and a few of these bridge ones and carriages and tavern type things sort of more accessible, because there's ones that I do occasionally consult, or there's ones I haven't read. So anyway, I'll see you next time. I hope everybody's doing well. Take care, BookTube.